Okay, I'm going to welcome everybody. We've got a couple more minutes. Let's see. Let me check who's all here. I've muted everyone, but I will take that off in just a few minutes. So we'll wait a couple more minutes for folks to join, and then we'll get started. Thanks so much for taking time. Hey, we're seeing some folks. Can everyone hear me okay? Can't hear me? Okay. Is that better? There we go. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Awesome. Okay, I think if you go into the chat box, just give me like a thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me. Awesome. Thank you. Thumbs up. Okay, I'm going to mute everyone. We've got about 1 more minute, so we'll give folks, 6 o'clock is kind of a crazy time, so we'll give folks another minute or two to jump on, and then we'll get started. Okay, chat box. Oh, right, everybody. Well, it is 6 o'clock, and if you don't know me, you know that I'm a stickler for time. I think time is a valuable qualified resource that we don't have a lot of, or we have a finite amount of. So I like to respect people's time, and I like to start on time, and I like to end on time. I'll definitely be available afterwards if we continue the conversation, but I just want to make sure that we're mindful of people's time in joining us today. So welcome, and I'm sure we'll have a few more people jumping on, but I want to welcome everyone to this informational webinar that's being hosted by Social Impact Strategies Group and Conveners.org. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy, busy lives to sit with us for 45 minutes and learn about convening circles. I'm going to upload my presentation here so you can see, let's get us going. And there we are, yay. So first I want to run you through sort of how we're going to spend our time together today, and hopefully you're not seeing this poll. I'm going to take it off here if I can. Give me 1 second here. It's showing up. There we go. So the way that I thought we'd spend our time today is we're going to do an opening, or a really quick opening. We'll also do welcome and introductions. We're going to talk a little bit about the origin story of convening circles. We'll talk about what the circles are and what they are not. We'll talk a little bit about how do the circles work and what are some of the benefits. We'll talk about how much it costs, and then we'll just open it up for questions, and then we'll talk about what are the next steps. So does that sound like that works for everybody? Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Awesome. So just to get us grounded in our space today, actually, before we get to introductions, I notice here that I can't see my cursor. This is crazy. to see the chat box. This is going to drive me mental. But I really want to start off with a breathing exercise. I know some of us are coming in from work, some of us are coming in from taking care of kids or family members. So I really find it important to just kind of separate ourselves from all of the bluster that we're bringing into the conversation, and hopefully for a moment, just get into ourselves and get into our bodies just so we can be present for this conversation. So I'm going to invite everyone, if you're so willing, to shut your eyes. If you're sitting down or if you're lying down, you can rest your arms by your side. If you're sitting down, you can put them on the top of your thighs and just settle in. And we're just going to take a quick minute to just get centered. And I invite you to close your eyes if you're willing. And at this moment, just get into yourself and into your body. Let's everyone take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Take another deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. We're just going to take a couple of moments here in silence to just be. We have so many things that are pulling at our attention. We have so many things that are maybe giving us some monkey brain right now, that to-do list or that email you wanted to send before starting. I'm going to ask you to just let that go for just a moment. And come into the space you're in to be present with the folks that we're going to spend the next 30 to 40 minutes together with. And with that, I'm going to ask you to take 2 more breaths. Take 1 deep breath in all the way from your belly, lifting up your chest, and blow it out your mouth. Take another deep breath. Take in all the good, all the goodness, and blow out all the bad. You don't need it. Just go ahead and open your eyes and be present. Thank you for indulging me with that. I'm going to hopefully unmute everyone here. See if I can do this. There we go. So just a quick check-in. How was that for everybody? Hopefully, let me see if I can unmute everyone. My chat box, where is it? Let's see, you should be all unmuted, hopefully. Let's see. Remote control. Let's see. I'm so bad at this. Man, oh, here we go. Okay, unmute. I'll unmute. There we go. Now I've unmuted everybody. So how was that for everybody? Just to kind of take a moment to get present. You can just popcorn it.
I think it's really hard on a webinar because I'm still just in my living room.
Understandable. Well, thank you for playing. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Ryan here. I appreciated it a lot. I was one of those folks who just swooped in from work and joined up, so it was nice to do that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Lee, how about you?
Yeah, the same. It was just a good, I've been go all day. So it's just kind of like, oh yeah, take a minute and just be and quiet your brain. So that was really helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, with that, I appreciate you all and thank you for sharing that. Why don't we now take an opportunity? I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more for those who don't know me, and then I'm going to ask all of you to take a quick moment to just introduce yourselves and why you wanted to come and be on this, learn about Convening Circles. So my name is Elaine Rasmussen. I'm the CEO of Social Impact Strategies Group, and in partnership with conveners.org, I'm leading these Convening Circles. I'm brought to this work just because I've had so many one-off conversations about people really wanting to get activated. They've had really good conversations about social justice and the intersection of money and social justice, and they were really kind of lost after that. They didn't know what to do and what was next after that. And so I thought this was a great opportunity to see if there was interest in people really wanting to dig in about how they could move their resources, whether it be their wealth, their class privilege, but really to kind of unpack what they have, and as well as what are some opportunities to activate it. So we'll just do it in popcorn style since our group is so small. I think we have a couple more people who are signed on, but they might be stuck in traffic. So maybe I'm going to pick on Lee. Do you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Lee Lester Holmes, and I've recently joined Social Impact Strategies Group as the program development specialist. I have a background in nonprofit management and sustainability, and I've worked on the for-profit and the nonprofit side, as well as the quasi-government sector. So I've kind of got this well-rounded, melting pot of knowledge and experience, and I look forward to just how I can learn more in this space, because this is a new space for me. So I'm really excited to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Who would
I can jump in and go next. This
awesome.
is Ryan. I work at Headwaters Foundation for Justice in Minneapolis, and I am one of the grassroots fundraisers there. So I fundraise folks who typically give below $1,000, but I work with my colleague, Joe Lum, who wasn't able to be on tonight. But Joe and I also work with folks that have access to wealth and class privilege, and we work with them to give that to the foundation and to our networks of grantee partners as well across the state of Minnesota. And so I am just very interested in this. I'm also a member of Resource Generation. So I was excited to hear about these convening circles so that I can not only learn about it myself, but also bring hopefully some of this information to some of the folks that I work with at Headwaters Foundation as well, just so that there's all of this wealth of resources and knowledge that are in our community that can help folks who have access to wealth or class privilege and be able to actually use some of that for the good of movements, social justice, grassroots movements. So I'm excited. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go next. My name is Margot Isman, and I actually heard about this through from Joe at through Resource Generation. So I think my interest in the convening circles is I feel like I'm at the beginning of kind of a personal journey around wealth and class privilege and social justice. I've worked for my whole career in the social justice sector, primarily in nonprofits, and am just sort of starting to think about how to use my own personal resources more strategically for movements. And Resource Generation has been helpful in helping me start to think about that, but I think it's going to be a long and ongoing journey. And something that I've always really valued in other areas of my life is learning from and having experiences with groups of like-minded people. And so this seemed like a potentially attractive opportunity for that reason.
Awesome. Thank you, Margot. So I'm just going to put everybody on mute. So thank you for those introductions. I think my hope is that when you walk away from this conversation, you because we're definitely anxious to get this started. So with that, I'll talk a little bit about the origin story of Convening Circles. So conveners.org, the person who runs that organization is a woman by the name of Avery Kent. If you ever get a chance to meet her, she's amazing, dynamite woman. And we kept being in places and spaces where we'd have these awesome conversations. You go to a conference, you go to a meeting, you go to a convening, and you have these awesome conversations, and there's a lot of energy, and then the energy seems to just kind of peter out. And I think just what Margot said, it's like, okay, now what do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? How can I be supported? Who can I ask questions to? And so Avery put it in this beautiful drawing that I love, and she calls it like, the convening circles are meant to break the hype cycle. It's a way for you to come away from, so I just spoke at the Making Money, Make Change conference a couple of months ago, and it's like, okay, with all of that energy, now actually what's the container that could actually keep the conversation going, right? Because it takes somebody to actually continue that. It gets hard to just do it on your own, particularly if you're new on your journey. So the whole idea was, let's actually create these circles for people to come together over a finite period of time and sort of kind of figure some things out in a peer group. Because we know that we as human beings, we are creatures who like to be in a group. even introverts, we like to be in a group, but we also need to be guided, right? And somebody has to guide that, and somebody has to lead that. So this is an opportunity to be able to actually break the hype cycle and actually get to some action, right? Because at the end, we can keep talking and talking and talking, and then nothing ever changes, and then we're like frustrated because nothing's ever changed. So it was really that sort of feeling of frustration that really a group of us got together to think about what could be a container that would move conversation, activate people, and actually make some collective impact, right, on a larger scale. So what are the convening circles? The convening circles are a 7-month commitment. We ask everybody to make a 7-month commitment. It's a peer network that's with a purpose. So you're getting together, it might be people that you know, it might be people that you don't know, it might be a collection of both. But the whole idea is that we are definitely going to be accelerating trust in a peer group that is confidential. Everything that happens in the circle is confidential. What you learn, we hope, is not confidential, but what's said, who's participating, that will be held confidential. You will be receiving some guided facilitation, so you won't be just like, struggling there on your own, but that it's really about, okay, this is where the collective group is, this is where people are individually, here's where I see are some next steps. And it's really a co-design thing, but it actually has somebody who's going to make sure that everything's moving forward. So the guided facilitator will make sure that we bring in subject matter experts as it relates to any questions or concerns that you might have. The facilitator will make sure that you're fed, so they'll take care of all the food. The location, so we're looking to launch 2 circles. The first one circle will be in person, and those in-person sessions will ideally be at the same place all the time. They'll be in a private residence. And the reason why we choose to do it in a private residence is that people seem to feel more comfortable, right? So they'll have the amenities of like being in their own home as opposed to a commercial building. So the whole idea is that people feel at ease, people feel comfortable, people can feel relaxed. They don't have to feel like they have their guard up. So we have decided that those are ways that we can make people feel as comfortable as they can, particularly talking about wealth and class privilege, which can at times be an uncomfortable conversation. So we really are mindful about, as facilitators, we're holding a space that makes you feel as comfortable as possible. We're also going to bring in resources. So we might bring in, articles for you to read, particularly if there's a particular question that's come up in the group, we will actually go and do some research to actually either get some subject matter experts to answer your questions, or to give you more resources on a particular topic that was raised in conversations with your group. And then the eventuality is that, one, that you have a goal of some individual action that you're going to do. And this whole process to help you, each meeting that you'll have some individual action that you'll be asked to take. Now, whether you do it is up to you, but understanding that in doing it, it's what enriches your experience, right? And then hopefully, our hope is that out of that individual action, that there may come some collective action. It's not mandatory, it's not required, it's really going to depend on the group of people that come together. You all might decide that you want to take some collective action. You may decide that you want to keep it more on an individual level, at least for this first circle. So I'll leave it at that. You can see here on the side, let me see if I hopefully you aren't seeing these side things, but if you are, these side panels, I'm going to move them out of the way. But as you can see here, we are not the only convening circle that's going on. There are about 6 circles on a variety of different topics around the United States. So there's a teachers convening circle that's happening in California, and their conversation is really about how to bring an equity lens to their building their curriculum and their lesson plans. There's another group that's based out of Northern California that's breaking up with their bank. So their collective action is that by the end of the 7 months that they're together, that everyone will have left their big bank. So that just gives you an idea of the range of circles that are happening and where they're happening. Our circle, which is #KnowWhatYouOwn, really came out of a seminar that I did in September called Money Moves, the intersection of social justice and investing, and the Making Money Make Change workshop that I did for resource generation. So out of that, there were so many people who are like, I've been activated by resource generation, but now how do I move into some action? And so what we thought originally was, oh, well, we'll start a conversation that really will talk about placing your investments, like where are the opportunities? And then we got challenged by some folks and like, I don't even know what I have. Right? So we thought, okay, maybe a starting step would be, this is an opportunity. We're in a safe environment. We're going to unpack whatever your assets are. So for you to kind of bring your portfolio, whether you have a conversation with your family or whether you have a conversation with your wealth advisor, that outside of that, you're able to bring this stuff, kind of like a box of receipts, and you're like, okay, help me sift through this box of receipts. And that will each month work through each one of the whatever it is that you have, and it gives you an opportunity to ask questions. So we might have a conversation about land ownership. Well, what's the real estate that you own? How much do you own? Where is it located? And so part of this will be that you'll actually do research in the group. So I'll talk a little bit more about, so that's an overarching 10,000 foot level of what the convening circles look like. From a more tangible, what happens in the meeting, the meetings are about 2.5 to 3 hours long. They'll happen every month. And this circle that you're seeing here is really the sort of way that we are going to go about it, right? So we're going to start at kind of what is your action? So that first meeting that we're going to have, you're really going to be working together in pairs or groups to really think about what would I like to accomplish in the 7 months that I'm here, right? So really clearly identifying, I want to have a better understanding of what my inheritance look like. I want to have a better understanding of my current holdings. I want to have a better understanding of what's in my 401k. Whatever that is, you get to decide that. And then what we'll do from that is we start to build out what are the resources you're going to need to get to your goal. And we take care of all of that. All you have to do really is show up. But this circle really walks you through how we're going to actually engage you in your conversations, in unpacking, understanding, and knowing what you own. So at some of the sessions, we might have a 30 or 40-minute presentation by a subject matter expert, followed by maybe another 30, 40 minutes of research, followed by another 30, 40 minutes of conversation with the group. That will kind of figure that out along the way on what you want, but also what's going to be the best for the group. But it will be a sort of organic, there's some of it is structured, but some of it is organic, because as a group, if you decide that you want to move in another direction, it's our job to be responsive and make sure that you have everything you need to make that shift. So with that, I wanna just see if I'm going too fast. I'm gonna unmute everybody if I'm going too fast, or if there's other questions that you'd like me to answer before we go into how much it's going to cost.
This is Ryan here. I'm following just fine. I'm excited. This sounds like a really, really cool organic process.
Awesome.
Elaine, I'm sorry if you already said this. This is Margot, but how many participants are you aiming for in the group? And do you have a particular target audience of who all you're trying to recruit?
Thank you. Those are good questions, which I did not answer. I was thinking about them. So the answer to the first question, we like to have a group that's about 12 people, knowing that we might have some folks fall out. So we figure by the time the 7 months is over, our goal is to have at least 8 people that stay together throughout the whole process. So what we're going for, we're recruiting for like 12 to 13 to 14 people, knowing that life happens and people just might have to drop off. And then your second question, as far as the target audience, we started with the resource generation folks. We're not exclusive to that. We just started with them because there was a whole organic conversation that came out of the 2 convenings that we had with resource generation. But we hope that if there's a group of folks, whether it's a group of people who work together who want to do a circle together, that would be great. If there's a family that would like to do this together, or a couple of families that would like to do it together, we're happy to do that. We don't really necessarily have a strict target, but we did want to start with people, 1, who knew us, 2, had been asking for this, but we definitely want you to share it with other folks widely and broadly, so that we can get started as soon as possible. We don't have a core group right now, and that was the reason for the information session, was if we could get out of this webinar a core group that wanted to start together, and we ideally wanted to kick off our circle next month in February.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Awesome. So I will go into now, I'm going to mute everyone. I'm going to go into how much does it cost, right? Because that's how we get things taken care of. We unfortunately or fortunately live in a capitalistic society. So we want to definitely honor people's time and talent and treasure. So the way that the convening circles are set up, we have a couple of different payment options. 1, we have a sliding scale that we offer. That is billed monthly. So the people will self-select. The $49 rate is a subsidized rate. The $99 a month for the 7 months each month is the actual cost of the program. And then $149 a month is for people who would like to subsidize another person to go through the program. So we built our pricing model as far as the levels, the sliding scale, we borrowed from resource generation. We thought that would be the most equitable way to make it accessible to people. If people want to pay all 7 months in advance, they're more than welcome to. However, not everybody has access to be able to pay all in advance. So once again, we wanted to make it accessible. So we're happy to set up monthly billing, and you'd be billed at the beginning of the month. You are billed with the understanding of whether you attend or not, that you're going to be billed, because the resources that it takes to put it together are spent whether you attend or not. But the whole idea is that people who are going to come commit for the 7 months. And then just a quick note about when the circles happen. at the first meeting, we plan out the next 6 meetings so that it works for everybody's calendar. So that's how we hope will ensure that everybody's able to participate. More than likely, just because of people's schedules, they'll more than likely be at night or on the weekends. So once again, that'll depend on your group. So if you have a collection of people that you want to bring together, hopefully you're all on the same schedule, particularly if it's a work group or a family group, you're kind of all on the same sort of social cycle. So that might make it easier, but definitely know that we take on all of that work. So we'll help figure out all the scheduling, but we won't do the scheduling for the remainder of the circles until we have everybody in the room, so everybody can check their calendars and make sure that everybody, that those dates that we commit to are dates that everybody commits to up front. So with that, now is the time for Q&A. So are there any other questions that have popped up? I'm going to unmute everyone. Any other questions that have popped up?
I have one logistical question. I'm wondering about the home situation. Would it be based on the group? Would it be at a participant's home, whomever wants to host each month, or do you have a location in mind already?
We have a couple of they will not be at a participant's home. They'll be at another home that is not familiar to anybody. But our goal is that one, they'll be at the same place for the remainder of the 7 months. We will be more than likely, we have a few different options, but the where we actually choose will depend on the group. So if we have a group that's sort of Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, then we'll pick a place that's in the middle. If we have most of the folks for this first group are in Minneapolis, then we'll pick a place in Minneapolis. And then obviously if they're in St. Paul, they'll be in St. Paul. And then we are going to offer an online version, a webinar version. Obviously that's not as personable, but we have other circles who have given us some best practices around how do we hold space in a virtual world. So that makes it a little bit easier as far as the group that's going to be virtual. So that obviously if people travel a lot, that might be a better group for them to be in, or if they have a lot of family obligations where they won't be in Minnesota, being in the online group might be a better group for them than being in the live group.
Elaine, going back to something that you said earlier, you mentioned subject matter experts, and can you give me an example of like who that might be or what subjects that might be in? I just didn't really know what you were referring to.
No, that's a great question. So let's say you would like, as you're picking apart your portfolio, you're like, hey, I need to better understand my 401k and where do I have some movement or to really have a more justice aligned lens or values aligned lens. I am not a registered investment advisor, an RIA, so I do not provide that expertise. I will bring in somebody who can actually speak to that. And I can't do that legally because I'm not an RIA, so I don't want to get myself in trouble or get you all in trouble. So we will bring in subject matter experts. Let's say you have a piece of land and you want to know what are the limitations or what are the options you have in giving away that land to maybe a nonprofit. What are some of the legal ramifications? While I know some of that, I would want to bring in a subject matter expert that could help unpack that and answer your questions as it relates to those topics. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Can I ask one more question too? Sorry to take this.
No, absolutely. Ask as many questions you like. It's being recorded, so I'm sure other people will have these questions as well. Okay.
So my personal situation is that I am the partner of a person with wealth. And so I think it's not an uncommon thing for somebody like me to come into these questions a little bit later in their lives for that reason. So I just didn't know whether that was a situation that you had considered before as being relevant for this first group, and just any thoughts that you had about that.
No, great question. So as we alluded to earlier, this is for anybody who wants to unpack what they own. Doesn't matter. So even by being a partner, you have access to it. So this is for folks who have access. So you may not have control over it, but this is an opportunity for you to learn, go in deeper engagement and learn, particularly from maybe the other peers in the group, particularly those peers who may have, to understand some of the thinking that might help you engage with your partner, right? So this is really for you to even unpack just what you have, like part of what you have if you've got a bank account, right? So let's learn more about the bank where your money's invested and what they're doing and how they're using money. And is that money, how they're using the money, aligned with your values, right? So it's not even just about, oh, I have access. I have personally have this wealth. This is what really, when we say hashtag know what you own, it's whatever that, all of that. So what all of that means is everything that you possibly are connected to personally or tangentially.
Great, thank you.
So Elaine, quick question. If I'm understanding correctly, so after this first meeting, we'll get together, the group that's here, since you said you ideally wanted about 8 people, what will be our next step? Like are we just going to go with what we have and, start brainstorming how we want to work together, or will it be a couple more? I know you kind of hinted at it, but maybe I just wasn't clear.
No, I think so. Next steps are, like I said, we had anticipated, I think 2 or 3 more people to join this call. So I'm imagining they probably just weren't able to join this call. This is a good question. So what I'm thinking is, and I know Ryan said if it sounds like he's really interested in this and sharing this with a group. So Ryan, I want to extend to you, if you want me to do another informational webinar for a group of your folks, I'm happy to do that as well. But I really think to make it meaningful, we need to have at least, I'm willing to go as low as 6 to start, but I really want that to be a solid 6 who really are going to make the commitment to stay together. And then maybe between the time that we get the 6 and we actually have our first meeting, that maybe we might find 1 or 2 or 3 more people to get started. But right now, I'm not seeing enough people to get us started. So I'm going to ask help from you all to help get us there if you find that this is going to be something that would be valuable to you or to your network.
Thank you.
I'm going to unmute everybody and get thoughts and ideas from everybody.
Well, I guess to build on that, then what would be a good, because obviously we're not experts in this area, so as we go to approach people in our network, would it be just best to say, hey, I'm in this convening circle, go to this website, talk to this person, email Elaine, or is there like a short, elevator, something we can say just to give folks an idea other than in our own words, because sometimes in our own words can get misconstrued?
Absolutely. So you can go to the website and we'll make sure you have the link to the website. We actually have a 1-page flyer. I'll be happy to share the 1-page flyer with everyone. We'll make this recording available on the website as well. So you can pointing people to the website, I think will be great. Once again, if you have a network of people and it would be efficient and productive, I'm happy to come in and either do a webinar, or if there's a convening that's happening and you'd like me to come and talk to that convening, that would be great. Also on the website, and I will get the link and put it here in our little chat box, but there is actually a sign up. So if folks, you can tell people to go to the website and actually sign up to say that they're interested, knowing that we'd like to get a group going in February, but we'd like to get a group going in February. If it doesn't happen, like the whole world won't crash. But we've just had so many people who had so much interest in this conversation. So we also know that the further away we get from the event that got us excited, the less excited we become. So we're just really trying to take advantage of people's momentum having coming out of recent conversations, particularly resource generation conversations, to participate.
That sounds good. And in terms of my network, I'm definitely excited to share this opportunity. And I have a few resource gen events, different caucus things that are coming up that I'll definitely bring that flyer to and make sure people know how to do some research about this and how to get in touch with you, Elaine, so that we can get this rolling. Yeah.
Awesome. I would love that. And I know Rodney and Adam are on the Convening Circle train also. So
Good.
The more of you banging the drum, we'll get a group started.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, actually, that's all I have for my presentation. But so if you all have even more questions about, what you're thinking or what you would like to see in this convening circle, this is a great time to share that, because all of it's very, very organic. So I'd love to hear your thoughts of what you would like to see, or what you would like to get out of it, or what you've heard from other folks. What kind of pain points are they experiencing? Feel free to share. We've got about 6 more minutes, so you can jump off if you want, or if you want to share, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I don't know if I have anything to contribute right now, but just by thanks for setting aside the time tonight to let us know about this. Thanks, Elaine.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Elaine, I appreciate you taking the time to talk us through it. I feel much better informed at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. I know you are all busy, and Ryan, you just rushed in from work, so I really appreciate that. And once again, you all have my email. I've now put the link to the website. I will also send you the PDF of the flyer. And if any questions or concerns come up, please feel free to let me know. Thank you so much again for your time.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, Lee, are you still on?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me turn